Welcome to the Joy Meets Pain podcast. I'm your host, Dorcas. As a psychotherapist who has worked with children, couples, individuals, and families for decades, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people say, my family is the worst, or I'm too embarrassed to talk about my family, or no family is like mine. Well, guess what, listeners? All families have ishness, foolishness, happiness, shadiness, loneliness, forgiveness, hopefulness, goodness, and the list goes on. If you come from a family and are trying to navigate your family relationships, then welcome. Please keep in mind, I am not providing therapy or medical advice. And here's a heads up. Once in a while, I will curse. So if you're looking for a clean, no foul language kind of show, this is not it. Hello, listeners. Hello, Taffy. Welcome to our episode 34, I believe. Taffy, how are you?
I am well, thank you. I've had a restful weekend, and hopefully I get into the following week calm and easeful. How have you been?
I am pushing through. I mean, no other words to use at this point, honestly. It's like wake up with eyes closed and just fingers crossed. And it's like, okay, let us hope nothing crazy has happened in the world today, right? And yes, I mean, another 3 years of this, who knows? So it's a daily prayer.
Mhm.
Anyway, apart from that, no, doing well. Time is zooming. It's like February's almost over, but here
Already
we are.
February. Yeah. Well, we're already in March at this point.
Please don't rush it. We are all about being present, right? We are all about being present. We do not rush the days, so we are still in February. Today's the 22nd, which is
Mhm.
also my deceased sister Titi's birthday. So it's a very special day, and also her granddaughter's birthday. So yeah, it's a significant day um, for those reasons. But let us stay focused. So this episode, we are talking about Black History Month. All right, so as
Mhm.
we mentioned at the start of the year, we want to combine significant national holidays events in our podcast discussions, but we always try to keep it connected to family in some shape or form. Right. So yes, I mean, even though I'm talking about my sister Tsitsi, I think that's a family related remembrance of this day, right? Um, and also, I think if you can see, I am wearing a Ladysmith Black Mambazo t-shirt. So this is an amazing black musical group in South Africa. They have been performing for decades, and I was honored to attend one of their shows here in the US. So when we talk about history, Ladysmith Black Mambazo definitely ranks high on the list. All right, so I had shared with Taffy at the beginning that I'm a little all over the place. It was very hard for me to narrow down one person to talk about in Black History Month, right? Initially, that was the goal. She would find someone, I would find someone. But then I realized there are just too many. And of course, we know February is the shortest month that we are given for Black History Month. But if I had an ability to sort of recognize someone for each day of the month of February, I would, because we have done amazing things. The foundation has been laid for us, and so we are honored that we are here because of the many Black people all over the world who have changed our lives in some way or another. All right, so Taffy, not sure how we want to do this, but um, I will maybe touch on a few people, and then, you can share yours as well. And then we can also maybe just ask some general questions as well. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. All right, good. So I am starting. I mean, my people for this year, for this month, are Black athletes. We have been engaging in the Winter Olympics in Milan, and it was awesome to see that there were quite a few Black people representing us in different parts, from different parts of the world, right? So just a few that I will mention. Lara Markthaler from South Africa, from Madagascar, Mia Laitiana Clerk. Impressive, impressive. You should watch her interviews. Wonderful individual. And then, of course,
I'll look.
US has its share. Aaron Jackson, Azaria Hill, and Layla Edwards. Tuffy, were you saying something? Sorry.
Oh, I said I'll look her up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and she's just such a joyful person, a joyful individual. And she also has a powerful story. She was adopted, but she has really just taken on this role of representing Madagascar, and how proud she is to represent Africa, which, again, for those of us who are African, it is an honor. All right. So, I mean, I have a long list of, my tennis people. I'm a tennis fan. I played tennis in college. So I will save that for after Taffy's Black History person. And so,
Hmm.
Taffy, you can take it away.
Okay. So my Black History Month person or hero, her name is Kelechi Okafor, and she is a Nigerian-born, London-based director and writer. But really, she's a many things, from political to social commentary, including how we think about race, how we think about oppression and femininity, to being a host of two podcasts. So one is called Friendly, um, reads through newspaper headlines, and she gives her thoughts and her perspectives. And the other one is called Say Your Mind. I think that one is now on Patreon. I've never listened to that one, but I listen to Front Page Fuckery. Every new episode, I'm there. And of course, her bite-sized videos and reels on Instagram, where she shares a lot of her thoughts. She's a runner. And one thing about Kalechi, she is going to let you know exactly what she thinks. She dissects and challenges aspects of society, and she does it with so much wit, so much intelligence, boldness, and fearlessness. And she also teaches pole dance and twerk at her studio in Peckham in London. And she has also started a children's home in Nigeria with her mother, and it's called Child of Light Children's Home and Resource Center. And I also have a quote from Kalechi, and it says, "Society teaches us that we must fall into categories somehow. All I know is that I'm just a baby girl." Yeah. So I'll stop there for now. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, you talk about a well-rounded individual. I mean, she is
Yeah.
showing up and as her true self and doing her thing.
Absolutely.
Um, so for those of us who have not listened to her podcast, like give us maybe a sampling of what she talks about or what it's like.
Hmm. So currently she is covering a lot of what has been happening in with the royal family, with Prince Andrew and the allegations, yeah, the awful allegations. So she's been quite on top of that, and with everything that's been coming out, she usually comes on her podcast, or like I said, on her Instagram, and she'll give sort of live opinions and perspectives based on what is happening. Other things that she's covered, let me have a think. She's also covered issues pertaining to the Epstein files, of course, and also just daily daily things happening in the UK, in America. Yeah,
Okay, okay. So yes, all the chaos that is happening
all the
around.
chaos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, good, good, good. Um, yeah, and I guess I mean the list is endless, the list is endless, and there are many amazing podcasters out there, black podcasters, I will add, right? And you know, I have a soft spot for Claudia Jordan. I think I love, love, love her. Her podcast is called Accidentally Informed, and good for her. She was nominated for an NAACP award, well, her and her co-host. Um, but what I love about her is that she is also true to herself, right? As it is for most people in the world, you're either liked or you're not. And she's been a celebrity for a very long time with her modeling and acting and, you know, being on different TV shows. But the one thing I've always loved about her is that she will always talk about politics. And she is not afraid to speak her mind, right? Yeah, but there are many others out there. So I appreciate you bringing an African uh, female, multi-talented, uh,
Yeah,
you know, individual who is just doing so much, including pole dancing. I mean, good for her.
I
Uh,
love it. It's on my wish list to
yeah,
because I'm in the UK,
yes,
you know, quite often, and it's been
yeah.
on my wish list. One day, I
Yeah.
would love to attend one of her classes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I've heard it's an amazing workout. But yes, I think the only reason I cringe is, unfortunately, I think society and men, view it as something for them, which, I am not a fan of. But I think in terms of a workout, it is amazing. I have friends who do pole dancing, so I'm happy for Kalechi that she's offering this to others as well. All right, so I'm
Yeah.
switching completely. I think, like I said at the beginning, I have focused on athletes, and because the Winter Olympics has been on 24/7, I'm just sticking with this theme of athletes. And of course, I'm gonna go into black tennis players, right? So it is just wonderful to see how many young, outstanding, up and coming black tennis players there are. Those who have followed our podcast should know, hopefully, that I'm a huge Francis Tiafoe fan, right? And why? Because first and foremost, he's a Marylander. Secondly, he has an amazing story, just his childhood story and how him and his brother got to play tennis. And so you also see the kindness that he exudes no matter who he's playing, right? And most tennis players will say the same thing about him, that he's just a kind, genuine individual. His girlfriend, Ian Broomfield from Canada, also played tennis. And now she's actually promoting the sport for multicultural athletes as well, which I think is fantastic. Because oftentimes when you watch tennis matches, you can see that it's a very white sport, and has been for decades. And the likes of John McEnroe struggle when they see athletes like Serena and Venus show up, and it's just very hard for them to accept that this is happening, right? But for
Yeah.
me, it's just fantastic. And of course, I mean, Coco and Naomi, these are, tennis historians that we will always cherish. One of the things I love about Naomi Osaka is that she is also not afraid to stand for what she believes, including
Yeah.
her own fashion, right?
Yeah.
Because again, tennis has had rigid rules about how you show up, what you wear, colors, places, and so on and so on. But Naomi is true to herself, which I absolutely love. And when you are that gorgeous, why the hell not, right? Um, all right, so I can keep going, Taffy, so you'll have to let me know when you want me to stop. But I am so, so proud to see Victoria Mboko from Canada doing her thing right now.
Yeah.
She shot up the rankings to number 10 in the world, which is so, so, so impressive, right? And I can only imagine how hard she had to work to get to that ranking. But even watching her play, you can see just how calm she tends to be, how focused she tends to be, right? Her parents are from the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and they moved to Toronto when she was 2. And so it's just such a pleasure watching tennis and seeing all these amazing athletes who are showing up. All right,
Mhm.
so before I touch on my last one, what thoughts are you having? I'm just going on and on about all these black tennis players. Uh,
As you should, as you should.
yes.
I think as you were talking about why you are inspired or why you like these people, I think that also occurred to me when it comes to my person, Kelechi
Mm-hmm.
Okafor. Um, as someone who is also quite multi-passionate and interested in and does many things,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I resonate with Kelechi's
Mm-hmm.
spirit, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, I think I admire, like you already mentioned, how she shows up
Mm-hmm.
as herself, especially in a world that is not really made for Black women, if we're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
She embraces all sides of herself. She
Mm-hmm.
she is and says exactly what she wants, and she refuses to be made
Mm-hmm.
more, and she's not afraid to shake the table
Mm-hmm.
or to be perceived a certain way. I think she's one of the people that are okay with not being liked. I think for her,
Yes, yes.
more important to to be herself, to be authentic, to say what she thinks, to call out things that need to be called out, and literally she does not care whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Um, and um, like I said, she shakes the tables, and I have a lot of that in me, I think, and it's affirming to see someone a little bit older. I think she's in her 40s, about 10 years older than. So it's affirming and inspiring to see someone older,
Mm-hmm.
and someone Black, someone
Mm-hmm.
African,
Mm-hmm.
mirroring and modeling and
Mm-hmm.
thriving in that, because we all know representation matters. And as
Mm-hmm.
a Black woman who is also quite strong-willed and has strong opinions. I'm always in awe of Kelechi. She is basically who I want to be when I grow up.
Okay, okay, okay. Wonderful to hear. I mean, I think this is one of the joys of aging. There are few, but this is one of them, right?
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate that wisdom comes with age because if only we knew most of what we know at this age and stage of life, we would be living life differently. And for many of us, yes, when we are young, other people's opinions of us matter significantly, right? But as you start to get older, Taffy, one of the things you realize is that first and foremost, life is short, right? Secondly,
Yeah.
you have less time to give to people. So you are very selective about who is getting this time that I have, right? And part of that, especially when it comes to mental health, is the more aligned we are internally and externally the the more stable we feel as individuals, right?
Mm,
And so even I've lost many acquaintances, right? Sometimes you're just, you have different perspectives, and so this is a part of life. And so for sure, I'm, pleased to hear about Kalechi and her showing up as her true self. And that's something that I am working on, that I am doing. Doing this podcast is one of them because
yeah.
I, for years, put it off. I mean, I had recorded some episodes in 2022, but I just held on to them. And of course, that voice, oh, what will people say? And what will people think? And you're not quite ready. And it's not, up to standard and all these other things. And so you never do it. But finally, I just said, you know what? I will ne if I don't start somewhere, I never will. And so I'm glad
Hmm.
I have because for me, I think also being able to include my mother in some of the episodes is something that I will always cherish because those
Sure.
are times that I've been able to spend with her and learn things about her that I probably wouldn't have known had I not started this podcast. And talking about my mother, she is on my list of people in Black History Month because she is
Hmm.
one of the first Black Zimbabwean athletes who was able to compete against white athletes at that time. Um, you know,
Oh.
and so she has many stories to share about some of the experiences she had, places where she could not stay. So I definitely put her on this list of, people I admire and look up to in Black history. Okay, so I'll touch on my last tennis player, Haley Betty.
Hmm.
She's a DC native who identifies as Haitian American. So, of course, DC is right next door. So, always looking out for people nearby who are making us proud and doing their thing, right? And in 2025, she ranked as high as number 47 in the world. And if I remember correctly, she's actually coached by Tiafoe's brother. So that is just I think remarkable to hear. So I'm always rooting for her and I want to see her excel and hopefully she will. And yes, Taylor Townsend. I also meant to talk about her, but one thing about Taylor that I have uh just valued is her
Hmm.
ability also to stand up and speak up for herself because she's also experienced significant racism playing tennis as a woman who's viewed in the sport as being too overweight to play tennis, and she was told numerous times she couldn't compete unless she lost weight. But look at her, she's shining. I believe she's ranked in the top doubles players, right? So, we don't want to,
Yeah.
ignore these athletes who are doing amazing things in a white sport, especially. All right, so what I would like to do at this point is to engage the audience and ask some questions. And Tuffy, you can answer if you're comfortable. You don't have to. Um, but what I want listeners to think about is what is a story from your family that you believe deserves to be a part of Black history, because every family has a story. There are family members who, have done amazing things, who have left a legacy that the family is proud of. So if you have a story in your family that deserves to be a part of Black history, what is it? Please DM us, email us, info@joymeetspain.com, and tell us what that story is. All right, so Tafi, general question, and I can answer it first, and then you can also answer this question. Right, so who in
Yeah.
your life taught you what it means to be Black? And also, I think, speaking for myself, I have gone through an evolution, when I look at different stages of my life where um, going through different experiences. Yeah, I think living in America has really forced me to
Yeah.
be so proud of being a Black woman, right? I always was. I mean, growing up in Zimbabwe and Zambia, you are. You are proud of who you are. You don't think twice about it, right? And in a country like Zimbabwe and Zambia, also where the three main groups of people, Black, whites, and coloreds, right? Coloreds are the people who were mixed, and yes, they were and are called coloreds in Zimbabwe. Right. So if you were Black, it means you were a native. And so you were always proud. It's not even something you questioned or thought about. You just are, and you are proud of who you are, right? Having a Black last name, again, nothing you thought twice about because coloreds have white last names, right? So for
Mhm.
me, I think I just always was. I mean, going to white schools, you experience discrimination and racism, right? The white German nuns would pick on Black students, and, even some of the white teachers would pick out Black students if your uniform wasn't perfect or whatever, whatever, right? So. But, I mean, still always have been proud to be Black. And in America, I think when people are not able to pronounce your name, sometimes they want to abbreviate your name. Oh, can I call you D? Or, I'm sure you can't wait to change your last name when you get married and stupid stuff like that. And it's like, people, I am so proud to be Dorcas Matoe. You have no idea. I have a home. I know where it is. And I know my family history. So it's a privilege, right, to be African and Black, and a woman at that as well. So what about you, Tuffy? What's your story as a Black woman, and did you struggle with your identity at any point?
Yeah, I think it was interesting to hear you speak, and I think there are many layers to it. And when I think about the earlier years, when I think back to maybe kindergarten or preschool, I think at that time it's normal, like you say, you grow up in a country where you're the majority, and
Mm,
Shona, and then you learn English when you go to school, and everything is pretty normal. And then
Mm,
I think for me, in retrospect, where I think it started to be a bit of a struggle was actually in primary school, because I think for most of primary school, um, I had only white friends. And so I think it I think it was confusing for me, and so for a long time and you know this, the code switching and picking up the accent because of the people that were I was surrounded by,
mhm.
and then transitioning into like early teenage years and then proceeding into high school. I think by then you start to see how there starts to be a clear sort of separation between the white kids and the
Yeah,
black kids. Earlier on seemed to not matter,
yeah,
and then I had more black friends. But I think throughout school years, because you're in a dominantly white space, which is headed by white people, where the standards are set by white people, I think now when I look back, it it wasn't a space that nurtured black children, if I'm being quite honest.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
many of us struggled with that sort of like identity thing where you speak Shona, you get punished. If it's not a Shona
yes,
class,
yes,
you can't speak Shona, and
yes,
if you
yes,
do, you're going to get detention. Your
yeah,
hair is police, but the white girls get to do what they want with their hair. So
yes,
I
yes,
think for a while, and I think it's only when I got to university, and like you said, when you move abroad and now you're a minority, I think that forces you to sort of align with your identity, because if you don't, then you
yeah,
don't have an identity. And
right,
so I think for me came when I it started to come in when I was in the UK, because also you look around and you meet people from all over the world, and they are so proud. They are so proud of their language. They're so proud of
right,
where they come from. And you look at yourself and you're like, and they're so curious as well. They're like, "Oh,
yeah,
where do you come from? What language do you speak there?" And then you're there kind of like, oh, stuttering because you were taught English is what you speak and it's the
right,
sophisticated.
right.
You start to realize, oh, okay, I'm from
Mm,
Zimbabwe, and yes, we
mhm.
speak, we have 16 other languages. And then, even more so now, as I've gotten older, living in Germany, same thing. I think now it's obviously developed over the years,
Right,
and
right.
you're just forced to do it. But I'm enjoying the journey, and
Mm,
I'm someone who is very curious. The moment I'm curious about something, I need to go down a rabbit hole. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
went many rabbits hole, from trying to learn about Shona culture,
yeah, yeah,
practices,
yeah,
African spirituality,
right,
and it's also interesting, and
yeah,
also it feels good to do it from a place that feels real and authentic to
yes,
myself,
yes, yes, for
opposed to
sure.
I think you're young, your aunties and uncles are like, Atarane Shona,
Yeah.
speak in Shona. You think, no, I want to speak in English. And now,
Mhm.
because it's coming from myself, it's been such an exciting and interesting journey. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah. Good, good, good.
all
Yes,
in all,
absolutely.
it's a journey,
Yeah.
and I'm enjoying
Yeah. All
it.
right. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Well, we do need to wrap up. So, a few questions I will throw out for listeners. So how has your
Yeah.
understanding of your Black identity changed from childhood to now? And what does
Mm.
being Black mean to you today, emotionally, culturally, spiritually, right? If you were to finish the sentence, being Black has taught me, what would that be? Um, if you could finish the sentence, one thing I wish people understood about Black families is, Finish that sentence. A black
Mm.
person who changed my life, and preferably someone who's not famous, right? Not Beyonce, great, she's amazing, but you know, a non-famous person, a black person who changed my life is, who would that person be? And of course, we're going to incorporate joy meets pain here. So if you were to finish the sentence, joy meets pain when? What would that be?
Ooh.
And Taffy and I can also share our thoughts to the last question. Joy meets pain, or statement. Joy meets pain when? We can share that in our next episode. And we will also give you an update on how we did with being a better human, right? Because we did say in a month we would check in
Oh, yeah.
and provide an update on that. So we will do that in the next episode. But
Right.
I'm also so excited about the next episode because our guest will be my beloved brother Cecil. And we are talking about when siblings date each other's friends, right? So we've done the painful side of the joy conversation today. Next week, or the next episode will be how siblings navigate dating each other's friends. And so we will have a guest. I'm very much looking forward to that. All right, so Taffy, closing comments, thoughts.
Um, I'm excited for the coming episode as well, and I have also enjoyed this one. I'm excited to hear in the comments who people have as their inspiration and how their journey has been about, in terms of being Black and what that looks like and feels like for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, all right, wonderful. And yes, for tennis lovers out there, please support our Black athletes, right? Especially in the tennis world. It's a vicious world out there for them. So we want to support them as much as possible. All right, thank you for listening and tuning in. Stay present, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You found it meaningful in some way and have comments to share, or you would like to share your family story, whether joyful or painful, please send an email to info@joymeetspain.com. Thank you for tuning in and for allowing me to spend this part of your day with you. Please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And of course, please spread the word. Till next time, stay well and stay present.